Good day, everyone. Our lesson for today is about market opportunity analysis and consumer analysis. So first, let's define marketing research. It simply by means it is the process of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting information about the market, about a product or the service to be offered on the market. And it is all about the past, present, and potential customers for the product or services. So let's have an example for this. For example, you're planning to have a coffee shop. Siyempre, yung mga i-gather mo and i-analyze mong information or data about this is yung preferences nila about the product, the flavors, the price sensitivity, like that. Also the competitors, kung same ba kayo ng mai-offer na product or pricing, ganyan. So through this marketing research, madedetermine mo for your coffee shop yung demand niya, kung effective ba siya, or the pricing strategies na dapat mong gamitin, also the marketing tactics for launching the new product line. So now let's have the purpose and importance of marketing research. Firstly is pinpoint and anticipate market trends or changes. Of course, pag may marketing research ka, before ka magtayo ng potential business mo, for example ngayon sa coffee shop, ma-identify mo agad yung growing trend ng magiging product mo. Also, ma-analyze mo yung customer preferences and malalaman mo kung nakakasabay ka pa ba or mas ahead ka na sa inyong competitors. Secondly is decide on the best advertising medium. Sa panahon ngayon, marami ng social media yung ginagamit, and through that social media, malaking tulong yun for your business to advertise them. Kailangan mo lang pumili kung ano yung mas effective doon. Third is pre-test and post-test advertising and promotional campaigns. Before mo i-launch yung product mo, yung mismong business mo, dapat meron ka munang pa-test. Like for example, is free taste sa magiging final product mo para ma-evaluate mo yung magiging final product mo pag nag-launch ka na ng business mo in the future. Fourthly is determine consumer price awareness and sensitivity. By conducting research, of course, malalaman mo that customers are willing to pay. Makakatulong yun to set a competitive price point and balance profitability and customer expectations as well. Lastly is undertake location studies. Important siya in a way na malalaman mo kung saan siya mas best na itayo yung coffee shop mo. For example, yung product mo kasi is for health conscious. So, itatayo mo siya sa near ng gyms, ng yoga studios, mga ganon. Nang sa gayon, sila yung mas more likely na possible, di ba, na bibili ng mga product mo. So, let's have these steps in the marketing research process. Firstly is research needs determination. So, why do you think this is the first step? It's just because through this process, dito mo palang malalaman yung specific problems, opportunities, or information gaps in need na kailangan mong ma-address through your research. Second is problem opportunity determination. Sabi dito, it's both problems and opportunities can be the subject of marketing research. It is because it is the concept that helps businesses identify the potential areas for growth and expansion for this business. Thirdly is establishment of research objectives. In this process, it defines the specific outcomes and questions the research aims to answer. It's for guiding the project and avoiding collecting irrelevant data. In this process, these objectives should be in SMART form. We all know the SMART form, right? The specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. To help na mas ma-establish yung mga objectives ng research mo. Ayun lang yun. Next is research design determination. In marketing research process, hindi nawawala yung research design to identify if it is qualitative or quantitative. Ano ba kasi yung hinahanap mo? It is applicable ba for a qualitative research or quantitative research, ganun. In that case, mas madali mong malalaman kung ano yung kasagutan sa mga hinahanap mong katanungan. That's right. So, in research design, there are 4 major types. They have observational, experimental, qualitative, and quantitative. Firstly is observational. This research design is yung ikaw mismo mag-observe para malaman mo yung gusto mong malaman na kasagutan. For example, magtatayo ka ng convenience store. Yung target market mo, yung mga call center agent, ganyan. So, pupunta ka doon sa company nila, tapos i-observe mo kung mga anong oras sila lumalabas, ganyan. So that, mas magpe-prepare mo kung anong oras mo i-open yung convenience store na itatayo mo. Or yung dami ng magjo-duty that time, ganon. Nextly is experimental. This research design naman is kailangan mo ng dalawang example or sample na may pagko-compare ka. For example is brand A or brand B. Kung alin yung mas more likely na nabibili nila doon on that specific brands. Next is qualitative research design. This is the research design na nag-gather ng participants' experiences, perceptions, or behaviors. Ito yung sumasagot sa how and whys instead na how many or how much. Lastly is quantitative research design. It involves qualifying things and ask questions such as how long, how many, and the degree to which. Next topic is information source type identification. So there are 2 types of information. There are primary information and secondary information. Firstly, let's discuss the primary information. Primary information is a first-hand or original account or raw data na ginawa mismo ng isa na naka-experience nun or na-witness nun mismo. While the secondary information is, yun naman yung katulad ng mga journals or academic books, yun na yung nagawa na siya ng primary data and naging secondary na lang siya because ini-interpret na lang niya or sinesynthesize yung information na naggaling sa primary sources. So there are 2 types of sources of information. It's internal data and focus group. So the internal data is yung mga information lang naman doon na galing mismo sa company system, like yung sales, marketing, finance, or HR. While a focus group is a small group of participants who share their feelings, perception on a particular topic with the researchers. So let's have this determination of data access method. So first is person-administered surveys. Ito lang naman yung kinakonduct siya face-to-face via interviewer. Next is computer-administered surveys. Ito naman yung kinagamitan ng computer such as online surveys or kiosk-based surveys. Next is self-administered surveys. It is a survey completed independently by respondents, typically on paper or online. Meron naman hybrid. Ito naman yung combination ng 2 or more surveys method. For example, online survey or yung meron pang phone interviews, ganyan. Tinatawag na yun na hybrid surveys. There you have it. So let's jump in data collection firms designs. So there are 3 types of questions used in questionnaires. Let's first define the categorical response questions. These questions provide predefined answer choices for respondents to select from. Means, provided na yung questions or questionnaires, provided na rin yung pagpipilian na mga answers. There are dual choice questions which are yung nagsumasagot ng yes or no, or multiple choices questions such as merong A, B, or C, D. Next is open-ended questions. These questions allow respondents to answer in their own words without predefined options. For example, for this is tatanungin nyo sila ng what do you like most about this product or how would you describe your ideal coffee shop and experience? Of course, 'di ba, sumasagot siya in their own answer. Walang sagot doon na yes or no, or true or false. Lastly is metric questions. These questions captures quantitative data using scales or rankings or numerical inputs. For example, in rating scales, respondents has to rate something on a numerical or Likert scale. For example, question is, how satisfied are you with our service? Yun, sasagutin nila yun ng 1 to 5. 1 is the very unsatisfied and the 5 is very satisfied. Sa ranking naman, i-rank nila in order yung mas preference nila in most important or to not important for them. Or in open numerical inputs naman, respondents provide a specific numerical response. For example, how many times have you purchased this product in the last month? Sabihin natin, in the last month. Sagutin nila yun in once, twice, ganyan. So, in conclusion, ginagamit yung categorical questions for straightforward or quantifiable responses, while the open-ended questions is for detailed qualitative feedback, and the metric questions is for numerical insights and statistical analysis. Next is sampling size and sampling plan determination. Sampling methodology can be non-probability or probability-based. So, let's have the sampling data. First is non-probability sampling. Non-probability sampling methods where the participants are selected based on non-random criteria, or meaning not everyone has an equal chance of being included. For example, conducting a survey in a local mall with shoppers who are readily available. Diba? There are no specific na sinabi kung anong kailangan gender, height, ages, basta shoppers ka, pasok ka sa non-probability sampling. Next is convenience sampling. Dito naman is the participants are selected based on their availability or proximately to the researchers. Advantages nito is it is easy, fast, and cost-effective since kakilala mo lang or malapit lang sa'yo, mas mabilis na makukuha mo yung kasagutan na hinahanap mo and di ka na mas mapapagastos pa na pumunta kung saan-saan or maghanap pa ng tao na kailangan mong bayaran for that. While yung disadvantage naman nito is baka maging bias yung results na matatanggap mo since friends mo nga or nearby sa'yo. Next is judgment sampling. This where participants are selected based on the researchers' judgments about who would best represent the population. For example, interviewing experts in a specific field for insights. Advantage nito, useful siya for the target research or niche audience. However, the disadvantage is magiging subjective yung dating niya and prone to researcher bias, right? Next, referral sampling, or also known as snowball sampling. It's where pag yung researcher na is nag-ask sa ibang respondents na baka may iba pa silang pwedeng i-refer to answer the questions of the researchers na qualified naman sa magiging respondents nila in these surveys. Ganun lang gumagana si referral sampling. Advantages nito is useful for hard time to reach populations, while the disadvantages is can become biased din since kakilala mo nga. Next is quota sampling. It is predefined quotas are set based on specific characteristics. For example, age, gender, or income, and participants are selected until quotas are filled. For example, kailangan 50% yung male doon and 50% yung female in that specific study. Advantage nun, ma-ensure nyo yung representation of specific subgroups, while the disadvantages naman is because what if sa 50% na yun is most effective siya sa male na hindi naman gaano kailangan sa female. So, ayun. So, let's jump in cluster sampling. So, in the sampling method, it divides the population into clusters or groups and randomly selects entire clusters for sampling. So, advantage nito is cost-effective and convenient for large populations. However, the disadvantage is can introduce bias if clusters are not representative of a specific population. Next is simple random sampling. It's where every member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. So for example, sa recitation, gumamit yung prof nyo ng Wheel of Fortune. So, no bias yun. Mas may pare-pares lang kayong chance na matawag sa recitation. Next is systematic sampling. It selects every nth element from a list after randomly starting at the point. For example, is surveying every 10th person from a customer database. So, where yung skip interval dun is yung 1 to 8 because yung 9th person yung pipiliin niyang surveyan. Next is probability sampling. This sampling uses randomization to ensure every individual has known non-zero chance of selection. For example, simple random sampling, stratified sampling, or the cluster sampling na nabanggit ko nga kanina. So, the advantage nito is it may produce representative samples and allow for statistical generalization, while the disadvantage is often time-consuming and resource-intensive. Lastly is stratified sampling. It divides the population into subgroups based on a specific characteristics. For example, dividing a population by age groups and sampling proportionally from each group. Advantage is ma-ensure mo yung pagkakatulad ng mga subgroup, while the disadvantage is it may requires detailed population information and can be complex to implement.
Hello everyone, I'm Hannah Zoe Serapio. For my part in this report, I'm gonna be talking about first is the data collection. Ang data collection daw is this is the stage in the process where the questionnaires are administered to the selected respondent. So one of the example of the data collection is by giving away like surveys, yung paper surveys, and then by collecting them and then sorting them out, makikita natin kung ano yung preference ng customer, anong dapat natin i-improve dun sa product, or anong dapat natin alisin or baguhin. So, ano rin yung mas gusto ni customer, like gusto ba nila ng more on colorful, mas matamis, something like that. So, we have here also data analysis. So, data analysis at this stage, collected data is summarized and generated. The difference and relationship between among data are determined. So, ayun na nga, just like I said earlier, sa data collection, ito yung time na mag-serve tayo or mimigay tayo ng survey sa mga customer, and then upon receiving it and sorting them out, summarizing everything, doon na mapasok si data analysis. So, yun nga, pagsasortin lang natin sila and then babasahin lang natin yung good review sa bad review para rin merong innovation or mas pagbabago doon sa product. So, maganda to kung nag-a-accept, kung tinatanggap niyo yung feedback or tinatanggap niyo yung survey as a feedback para rin alam niyo kung ano yung i-improve and kung ano yung i-maintain. Ganon. Next, we have here report and presentation. So, report and presentation, this is the last step in the marketing research. So, it is a process and preparation and presentation of the report findings, interpretation, conclusion, and recommendation to the marketing decision makers. This serves as a basic for strategic or tactical decision. So, si report and presentation daw, so as a word itself, alam naman natin na ito na yung final or last stage, which is ito na yung magre-report or magpe-present. So, andito na yung, kumbaga nagawa na lahat yung mga first part, ito na yung final na gagawin na lang upon the presentation. Yun. And then, we have a lot here, like a bullet. Makikita niya yan dyan sa slides. We have external factor research, behavioral research, test marketing, target market studies, concept, product development, and product studies, pricing tests, location studies, advertising pre and post testing, and we also have usage, attitude, and image studies. So first, for the external factor research, the information from this research help marketers identify microenvironmental shifts. So, external factor research, ito yung research na to, hindi siya set. Kumbaga, meron ka ditong matatanggap pa na new ideas or like, wala siyang katapusan since outside research siya. So, expect na lagi kami matatanggap na new ideas, new feedbacks, new surveys about the research. And observational research naman, ito yung mga more on behavior. So, sa observational, it's assess marketers in determining retails, shelf placement, strategy to use. So, more on behavioral dito sa observational research. So, alam mo, nandun ka sa isang lugar, and then, yung ano ba yung behavior ng isang lugar na yon. So, dun sila bebase. Halimbawa, napunta ka sa, like, streets na yon. So, ano ba yung pwede mong ibenta na clothing doon? Like, syempre, ang ibebenta mo doon yung like, pang gangster clothing. Di ka magbebenta doon ng mga office clothing kasi nga, dun sa behavioral nung lugar na yon is for streets. Ganon. So, we have also test marketing. So, test marketing, based on the test marketing result, the company shall gauge the acceptability of a proposed product and service. So, dito naman sa test marketing, based naman to from the word itself sa na-test. So, nagbibigay sila ng mga test products. Yun nga yung mga tester. And then, pag nakita nila kung ano yung parang pinaka nauubos or like pinaka mabenta or yun nga, yung pinaka in, syempre, yun yung mas i-stockan nila. Ganon. And then, target market studies, these help identify, quantify, and understand the target market better. So, target market, so kung magbebenta ka ng isang product, syempre, aalamin mo, ano ba yung target market mo? For example, the age ng target market mo, lugar, and then, yun nga, kung sino ba yung gusto mong bentahan. Ganun. Hindi ka naman pwede magbenta ng winter jacket sa napakainit na lugar. Ganon. And then, concept product development and product studies, using the result generated by the concept product development and product studies marketing organization shall select proposed product service concept that highest level or market acceptance. So, si concept, product development, and product studies. So, ito nga, syempre, kahit ano namang ibenta or iserve sa market, kailangan talagang pinag-aaralan, and then also tumatanggap tayo ng feedback from the customer kasi nga, sino bang bibili ng product natin? Diba si customer din naman, so dapat i-accept natin yung feedback, i-take it as a challenge or just to be improved, yun, to make an improvement with the products. And so yun, para rin meron tayong growth doon sa isang product na yun or sa company. Kasi kung iti-take mo yan as negative, of course, ikaw lang din naman maapektuhan. Why not i-apekto mo yan just to grow with this specific product or business. And then, price test. So, sa price test naman, nagtetest sila dito. For example, yung mga nagbibigay ng 50% off, yung mga ganon. For example, hindi mabenta yung mga product nila sa Watson. And then, itatry nila yan na magbigay sila ng 50% off. Kaya magtataka tayo ibang product doon. Hindi naman talaga malapit na ma-expired or what. Hindi naman. Matagal pa yung expiration niya pero binibigay nila at low or 50% off. Kasi, itatry yon ng mga mahilig sa sale. And then, ngayon, kahit ibalik natin siya sa original price niya, confident tayo na may babalik dun sa product since na-try naman na nila. As long as, yun nga, confident ka dun sa product mo na alam mo maganda yung quality, alam mong babalik-balikan. Okay? So, next we have also here location studies. Ayun nga, kagaya nga nasabi ko kanina, magbebenta ka ba ng isang winter jacket sa mainit na lugar? Syempre, kailangan mo rin aralin yung location mo. At hindi lang dahil din doon, of course, mahirap din talaga magbenta sa isang location na hindi naman matao. Especially, kung mag-store ka talaga dun sa isang lugar na yan. Okay? And then, advertising pre and posting, pre-post testing. So, ito naman, this test can be determined advertising, copy effectiveness, sales promotion, outer advertising, traffic result, and effective of the public relation media placement. So, more on advertisement, and then they're looking ano ba yung mas effective, like mas effective bang nagbi-billboard, mas effective ba nagbibigay ng flyers, or gumamit na lang ng social media. So, ito naman testing na to, kung ano yung mas pinaka-effective na mag-advertise ng mga product or services ng isang company. Lastly, I have here for the report and presentation, usage, attitude, and image studies. These studies can provide cost-effective ways on how to increase product, services, awareness level, and brand trial. So, for the usage, attitude, and image studies, so, ito naman yung like, paano magiging effective. So, like, different kind of strategies. Kasi, hindi porket meron tayong strategy, okay, mag-work na siya agad. Dun sa strategy na yun, yung mismong strategy na yun, pinag-aaralan ba yun kung fit ba yung strategy na yun gamitin dito sa product na to, or sa company na to. Kasi, mamaya, for example, yung mga long hair, diba? Ay, yung strategy daw nila, longer. Tapos, ang gagamitin nila sa sabon. Diba? It doesn't make any sense. So, yung strategy, mismong strategy na yon, even though strategy na ang tawag sa kanya, mas pinag-aaralan pa siya. Kung saan siya mag-work, kung makakatulong ba siya maka-increase ng sales, and all, yan lang naman. And then, we're almost done with my part. So, I have here the consumer and organizational markets. So, for the consumer market, so it includes individual and or household who purchase products and services for personal consumption. Consumer normally makes purchases in small quantities due to their tendency to consume products gradually over a period of time. Moreover, consumers tend to be more emotional about their purchases. The purchases are times impulsive or spontaneous. So, ayun na nga, si consumer markets, ito yung mga customer natin, individual customer natin, na bumibili ng pangangailangan nila as their needs or wants. Okay? So, kunyari, ikaw, ako, bumili ako ng phone for myself. So, yun, consumer market na yun, like, bumibili ako for my needs and also for my wants. Individual consumer. So, we have also sa consumer market, may consumer buying process din tayo. So, first here, recognition of needs. Siyempre, kailangan alamin mo kung ano yung gusto mo or kailangan mo. And then next is information search. So, kunyari, gusto ko ng iPhone 17. And then, gusto ko information search, like, titingnan ko, ano bang bagong feature ng iPhone 17, ganon. And then, evaluation of alternatives. So, even though I like iPhone 17, mag-iisip ka like, what if out of stock? Ano yung alternative or other purchase na pwede kong bilhin? Like, yung iPhone 17 Pro, or bababaan ko na lang storage, mga ganun. Like, option. And then, for purchase decision, so, eto na, kung talagang bibilin mo ba, pero dahil impulsive ka, bibilin mo siya agad. And then, post-purchase evaluation. So, ito yung pag nabili mo na, like, tama ba yung ginawa ko, ganun. Ito na yung pagsisisi. Hindi ako pagsisisi. just kidding aside, yun nga, after mo ma-purchase yung bagay na yun, ito na yung evaluation, like, sakto ba yung, dahil binili ko to, fit ba siya sa budget ko, makakabawa siya sa savings ko, ganun. Okay, and then we also have consumer buying roles. You have the user, the initiator, the influencer, decider, and the buyer. So, the user, syempre, yung gagamit. The initiator, yung namimilit, like, bumubulong, bili mo na yan, bili mo na yan. And then, the influencer, sample natin yung mga influencers sa TikTok. Syempre, pag nakikita mo yung idol mo, ginagamit niya to para mapapabili ka rin. And then, we also have the decider. Ito na yung magde-decide ka or meron nagde-decide para sa'yo. And then, the buyer, syempre, yung bibili. Of course, hindi mo mapapurchase ang bagay kung hindi mo bibili. And then, we have consumer behavior model. Meron tayong 3 parts. The marketing input, psychological input, and purchase decisions. So, sa marketing input, behavioral dito, at napag-aralan na natin to before, the 4 P's, which is the product, price, place, promotion. Ito yung mga iniisip, yung magiging product, yung specific lang halos, like the product itself, the price itself, place, and promotion. So, simple-simple lang naman yung kay marketing inputs, remembering the 4 P's of it. And then, psychological inputs, ito yung culture, attitude, learning, and perception. Sa psychological, mark on like choice nila to dahil psychological choice. Like for culture, kailangan nila ng bandana dahil culture na ginagamit nila yon, ganon. And then attitude, ito yung more on behavioral. And then learning, dahil pala, ito naman yung bibili mo to dahil may natutunan ka na, this is good for health, ganon. Perception, yun, yung thinking mo dun sa isang bagay, bakit mo siya bibili. And we also have last thing here, like the purchase decision, product choice, brand choice, location choice, purchase timing, purchase amount, purchase frequency. So more on decision making here. So sa product choice, of course, pipili mo yung kung anong specifically product na gusto mo. And then sa brand, dahil nga gustong-gusto mo yung brand na yon or uso yung brand na yon, you're gonna make a purchase with this brand because of your decision na, this would be a nice brand. Something like that. Location choice, for example, gusto mong makapunta sa lugar na, for example, yung mga souvenir. Yun. Siyempre, dahil dun sa location na yon at gusto mo may remembrance, bibili ka ng souvenir. And then, purchase timing, ayun nga, for example, dun sa may TikTok shop, dahil may sale ng araw na yon, bibili mo siya because mabibili mo siya for the half of its price. And then, purchase amount, ayun nga, dahil rin syempre sa sale, I think, more on sales naman kasi yun lang yung may example ko na I'm sure magagets nyo because yun nga kapag sale yung isang product na this day, syempre mapapabili ka, unlike bibili mo siya on the regular day na hindi na siya sale at all, mabibili mo siya on the full retail price. And then yun nga, purchase frequency, ito naman yung kapag maraming nabili, gusto mong makibagay, so makiuso, ganon. Or, pwede rin naman yung mga nag-gatekeep, tinatago nila na yun yung product nila para hindi sila maubusan ng stock. Kasi kapag alam nilang nauso na naman siya at marami nang bumibili, maubusan siya ng stocks. Yan. So, influences of consumer behavior, we have 2 types. We have internal influence and external influence. When we say internal influence, ito yung mga personal factor, we also have psychological factors. So for the personal, it based on your age, income, occupation, lifestyle, personality, and psychological factors, ito yung mga kagaya kanina dun sa may psychological inputs, more on motivation, perception, learning, beliefs, attitude, and I actually hati pala yung psychological inputs. And meron din tayo dito sa external influence cultural factors, culture, subculture, social class, and social factors, family reference group, and role status. So, in simple words, see internal influence, more on personal, and then behavioral yung consumer behavior nga. Consumer behavior, yun. More on personal and then psychological. So, more on internal. Yun. And then, as external naman, influence, yun nga, from the word themselves, yung isa internal, yung isa external. So, di ba, cultural factors and social factors, as you can see naman, more on external factors siya. So, yun nga. Again, dalawa lang naman yung influence of consumer behavior. We have internal and then external. So, when it comes to internal, more on personal and psychological. And then sa external, more on cultural and social, since external na. And then, we have here the 9 stages of family life cycle. So, number 1, ito yung bachelor stage, yung single, young, and then, ito yung di na nakatira sa parents, mga ganun. Newly married, without children. Tapos, meron din tayong third, fullness 1. Ito yung mga youngest child under 6 years old. And then, fullness 2, youngest child 6 years old and over. Fullness 3, older marriage couple with dependent children. Ito yung mga kasal, tas sabay mag-isa na yung mga anak nila, bumukod na, ganun. Emptiness 1, no children, living at home, family head, in work. Tapos, emptiness 2, family head, retired. Solitary survivor, in work. And then, lastly, we have solitary survivor, retired. So, last thing here on my report, we have your 3 perceptual process guide and individual perception. So, etong tatlo na to, we have selective attention, selective distortion, and lastly, selective retention. So, sa selective attention, ito palang tatlong perceptual process, again, more on mental or psychological perception ito. So, makikita nyo dun sa first, sa selective attention, from the word itself, yan nga, attention. Diba makikita nyo may malaking word dyan, na, ayun na nga yung word niya. Pero, syempre, makakot yung attention ng isang consumer nun. Like, ba't may pa-billboard na ganyang malaking salita? Tapos, sabi, syempre, mababasa nila yung maliit na sulat dun, which is, ayun nga, now that I got your attention, eat at Subway. So, yun. Ginagamit nila tong selective attention para sa advertisement nila. So, selective distortion naman. Si selective distortion, ito is more on what they believe. So, for example, hindi pa nila natitikman yung product na yun, pero gustong-gusto nila yung brand itself. So, kahit di pa nila natitikman, dahil ang paniniwala nila, gustong-gusto nila yung brand na yun, and most of na tikman nila dun sa brand na yun is masarap. So, sasabihin nila, hindi, sure ako masarap yan dahil ito ang brand niya. Ganon. And then last, we have selective retention. Kung kanina sa selective distortion, na yun nga, sinabi ko kanina, more on beliefs, kung saan sila naniniwala, like, at yun nga yung example ko kanina sa branding. And also, medyo broad kasi siya, ganun. While sa selective retention, beliefs din to. Yun nga, more on behavioral nga tong mga to. And si retention naman, naniniwala naman sila dito na kung ano yung needs and wants nila, mas maaalala nila yung information na yon. So, medyo magulo siya. So, for example, nanood ng isang advertisement yung isang dog lover. And then, nanood ng isang advertisement si cat lover. Mas naniniwala sila na si dog lover daw ang mas makakaalala ng mga ganong advertisement. Kaya kung makikita niyo sa advertisement, mas maraming dog yung sa mga cat, mga animal food. Mas ginagamit nila yung mga dog lover kasi yun daw yung mas naniniwala sila na mas yun yung nakakaalala ng information kaysa daw sa mga cat lovers. Kasi feeling nila yung cat lovers hindi daw ganun wala sila masyadong pake. Ganon. So, distortion, more on customer belief siya. Ito naman si selective retention. Parang ang inana nila, mas makakaalala ng information yung mga customer na nagbe-base sa needs and wants nila.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rhea Messi Ideher, and I'm going to report about the organizational markets. So, what is organizational markets? So, ito yung tumutukoy sa lahat ng individuals, organization, or companies na bumibili ng products and service para sa kanilang operation, production, sa kanilang business, or para muli nilang ibenta sa iba. And then next is, there are 3 types of organizational markets. The first is industries, resellers, and the third is government. So, sa industries, ito yung mga companies na bumibili ng products para sa kanilang paggawa ng produkto. And then, the next is the resellers. Kumbaga, ito yung mga companies na bumibili ng mga products para ibenta muli sa iba. And then, the last is the government. Kumbaga, ito yung mga ahensya ng government na bumibili ng products and service para sa kanilang pagpapatakbo ng operation, para sa kanilang program or projects. So, next is, there are 3 types of buying decisions. Kasi sa organizational buying, hindi lahat ng pagbili is pantay-pantay. So, the first is the new task, second is straight rebuy, and the last is modified rebuy. So, yung new task, ito yung pinaka-komplikado na type ng buying decisions. Kasi nangyayari ito kapag ang organization is bumibili ng products and service sa unang pagkakataon. And then the second is the straight rebuy. Kumbaga, ito yung pinaka-simpleng type ng pagbili. Kasi nangyayari ito kapag ang organization is regular na bumibili ng parehong products and service sa parehong supplier. Last is the modified rebuy. Kumbaga, ito yung napapalagitnaan ng new task and then straight rebuy. Kasi, nangyayari ito kapag ang organization is bumibili ng products o service na binili na nila dati, pero may mga pagbabago sa mga specifications, and sa mga suppliers or terms ng products. Ganun. Next is reasons for new task. There is a new company decision maker who wants the company's supplier list and supply arrangements re-evaluated. Kumbaga, for example, sa company may bagong decision maker and then gusto niya na re-evaluate, like suriin ulit yung mga company's supplier list. Kaya nagkakaroon ng new task. And then next is reasons for straight rebuy. The straight rebuy supplier has been removed from the buying company's accredited supplier list due to certain reasons. Kumbaga, kaya nagkakaroon ng straight rebuy kasi, for example, sa isang company na tinanggal yung supplier nila for some reasons. Or for example, nawala yung supplier na yun. Kumbaga, nagsarado yung kinukuha ng supplier ng company nyo. And then last is reasons for modified rebuy. Intensive and persistent marketing efforts by supplier competitors have prompted the reassessment of previous purchase arrangements. So, next is the participants in the organizational buying process. So, sa organizational buying, hindi lang isa yung nagdidesisyon. Kumbaga, iisang grupo sila na tinatawag na buying center na may mga kanya-kanya silang rules. The first is the users. Okay. Sa users, kumbaga sila yung mga taong gumagamit ng products and service. Next is the influencers. Sa influencers, sila naman yung mga taong may kaalaman or expert sa tungkol sa products na yun or sa service na yun. And then, next is the deciders. So, sa deciders naman, kumbaga sila yung mga taong nag-decide kung Kumbaga sila yung mga nagdedesisyon kung anong product o service ang bibilhin. Kumbaga sila yung mga, sa company, sila yung mga managers or executives. And then, kumbaga, sa pagbili sila yung nag-a-approve ng budget. Yun. Next is the approvers. So, sa approvers naman, sila yung mga taong kailangang mag-approve ng decision kung ano yung product o service na bibilhin. Kumbaga, sila yung mga finance officer sa company. Sila yung nag-approve ng paglabas ng pera para sa pagbili ng products and service. And then, the next is the buyers. Sa buyers naman, sila yung mga taong nagko-control ng, sila yung mga taong nakikipag-usap sa mga suppliers para sa pagbili ng products and service. Kumbaga sila yung mga purchasing officers. Yan. Kumbaga sila yung nakikipag-usap. Sila din yung, what we call this, sila din yung nag-order. Ganyan. And then the last is the gatekeepers. Kumbaga, dito naman sila yung mga nagko-control ng mga information. Kumbaga, sa company sila yung mga secretaries. Yan. Or di kaya yung mga admin assistant. Yan. So, next is the organizational segmentation variables. Kumbaga, dito sinisegment or kinugrupo yung mga katangianan sa business. So, first is the industry affiliation. Kumbaga, dito sinisegment batay sa primary business activity. And then, next is the end-use application. Kumbaga, dito naman sinisegment pati sa kung paano ginagamit ng company yung product. Yan. Next is the geographic location. Kumbaga, dito sinisegment naman kung saan saang lugar matatagpuan yung company or yung business na yan. And then, the last is the organizational size. Dito naman sinisegment yung by amount of capitalization or yung puhunan ng business, then by the number of employees, yung bilang ng mga empleyado. Then the last is the by annual sales revenues, yung mga taunang kita ng company. Yun. So next is the organizational buying behavior. So sa organizational buying behavior is iba siya sa consumer buying behavior. First is, these are far less organizational accounts than consumer accounts. Kumbaga, mas malaki yung organizational accounts kaysa sa consumer accounts. Next is, organizational accounts are more concentrated geographically. Kumbaga, matatagpuan siya sa mga tiyak na lugar or sa mga industrial hubs ang organizational accounts. Next is, the volume of products and services organizations buy are much larger than consumer markets. Kumbaga sa organizational, mas malaki yung binibiling volume sa pagbili ng products o service. Kumbaga, bultuhan yung pagbili sa organizational markets. Kaysa sa consumer naman, retail, parang ganon, retail. Sa organizational, bultuhan, ganon. So, next is, the buying decision of organizational accounts involves a lot of negotiation and takes much longer to complete. Kumbaga sa organizational is komplikado yung proseso. Kumbaga maraming negosasyon. So, kaya mas mahaba yung proseso. The next is, organizations normally buy on extended payment terms. Kasi some organization is bumibili sila ng products and service through credit, kumbaga utang, kaya mas mahaba yung payment terms nila. Ganun. So next is, the buying decision and processes of organizational buyers are more structured. Kumbaga, mas organized siya at planado. Kaya more structured siya. Next is, organizational markets purchases more rational and less emotional. Kumbaga, mas inuuna ng company yung mga pangangailangan kaysa sa personal na gusto. Like, for example, sa atin, mas inuuna natin yung mga kailangan natin kaysa sa mga gusto natin. Diba? Next is, there are many participants playing different roles in the organizational buying process, most of them processing highly specialized capacities. So, as I've said earlier, diba nga, hindi lang sa organizational buying, hindi lang iisa yung nagdedesisyon. So, marami sila. Like, iisang grupo sila sa buying organization na tinatawag na buying center. And may kanya-kanya silang mga roles. And then next is, organizational markets have access to more information regarding products or services. Yes, mas marami silang access sa mas maraming information para sa products and services. So, next is, organizations place larger orders and our fewer firms usually establish close relationships with these organizations. Kumbaga kasi, bumibili ng maramihan or bultuhan yung organizations. Kaya, mahalaga na magkaroon ng magandang relasyon sa supplier. Yan. So, the last is the organizational buying process. So, the first is the problem recognition. Kumbaga dito kinikilala or inaalam kung ano yung mga problema or kailangan ng company. The second is need description. Kumbaga dito dapat nilalarawan ng detalyado yung mga problems or kailangan ng company. Third is the product or service specification. Kumbaga dapat specific yung mga yon. And then next is, fourth is the supplier search. Kumbaga dito nagse-search na sila kung saang supplier sila ko bibili, kung saan maganda yung supplier, kung saan mas mura, mas affordable yung presyo, ganun. So, next is the proposal solicitation. Kumbaga, dito, after nung sa supplier search is yung mga possible na mga supplier na napili ng organizations. So, hihingi sila ng proposal dun sa mga supplier na napili nila. And then, next is the supplier selection. Kumbaga, dito is pipili na sila kung saang supplier sila bibili ng products o service. Yan. So, next is the purchase order. So, kapag nakapili na sila ng supplier, naglalabas na sila ng purchase order. The last is the performance audit. Kumbaga dito, natanggap na nila yung products o service. So, sinusuri or chine-check ng audit yung products if natugunan ba yung kanilang pangangailangan. Kung natugunan ba ng supplier yung pangangailangan nila. Yun.
So, ayun, mag-iwan lang kami ng katagang. Marketing without data is like driving with your eyes closed by Don Zariela. It means that without data, marketing efforts are like navigating without direction or visibility. Thank you. Thank you for your effort. Kung pinanood mo man to hanggang dulo, maraming salamat sa iyo. Our efforts is paid off. Sir, it's your activity number 4. It's called Breaking the Habit. May send kaming Google form. Doon nyo na lang siya sasagutan. Basta ayan yung instruction niya. Yung tatlong yung basahin nyo bago kayo gumawa. Okay? And these are the criteria for judging. Yun lang. Thank you so much. XOXO.